I'm Chekhov27, and this is one of my many girlfriends, an alpaca with a speech impediment. Say hi to the people, sweetie. Ah! Now that introductions are out of the way, let's watch a video. Let's talk about Stadia, Google's fairly new video game streaming service. You can either buy the individual games and stream them to one of your devices, or pay $10 a month to become a pro member, which comes with various bonuses, such as certain free games every month and 4K streaming. First, I want to talk about what I like about Stadia. Let me put forward a story of a boy. A young boy. Some would say the fairest boy. Not a single person could keep their hands off of him. One day, while buying extra large condoms online, he decided he wanted to play Red Dead Redemption 2, but uh-oh, that's a 150 gigabyte download and he only had 120 gigabytes of space left. Well, the boy said in his incredibly sexy voice, I guess I just won't play it. And that's when Stadia comes in all like, ba-ba-da! Hey man, you don't have to download that. I've already got it, and I'll just stream it to you wherever you are. By the way, I brought you some extra large condoms, as I figured you'd need them to take care of the massive line of barely legal bitches outside your house. And the boy said, thanks, Stadia. Then they made sweet love all night long, in 4K. The end. Wait, no one Rule 34 that. I swear to fuck, it was just a joke. Stadia and I are taking it slow. He's saving himself for marriage, which I respect. Now, I have to mention that after our sweet lovemaking, I did notice an itchy feeling in my groin, but more on that later. I'll be honest, I was incredibly skeptical of Stadia. My biggest fear was having to deal with latency issues, but I'm putting my internet stats on the screen right now, and I'm happy to report that I haven't run into any latency issues. I was also blown away by how quickly you get into a game. You basically just buy a game and play it almost instantly. This is my horse, Buckwheat, and if anyone so much as lays a finger on him, I will fuck them in the ass. Bye-bye, Buckwheat. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't any issues. You'll notice that there is some artifacting on the screen at certain points, and while that's not something that bothers me too much, I know it will bother some people. You also have to know that if you get something on Stadia, you will not be able to mod it at this time. But besides these smaller issues, there is one glaring problem that has become much more evident recently. Google thinks they can sell this platform without any fucking games on it. At the time of writing this script, there are a total of 52 games available on Stadia, most of which you probably already own on something else. And when it comes to exclusives, it's very weak. I mean, fuck! Its launch was weak as hell. For something as new as this, you would think that they would have launched with some amazing exclusives, but Stadia said, nah, fuck you, here's guilt. Just look at launch exclusives from other companies. You have Microsoft asserting themselves with Halo on the original Xbox, pushing them to the forefront of the gaming market. Then you have Sony drinking a gallon of paint and throwing up Knack, but then they cleaned up their act and released fucking God of War. Then Nintendo shows up and grabs Sony and Microsoft by the balls and says, listen up, you little punk-ass bitches. We got Breath of the Wild. Now suck my titties. You see what's going on here? Each company is offering something to entice the consumer to buy their console. What's the point of getting Stadia when I can play all of these games on a PS4 without artifacting and be able to play Ghost of Tsushima as well? Face me, Toucan Sam, you fucking cocksucker. Haha, yes. Now I shall have all the Fruit Loops. It also doesn't help that Stadia made this big event to announce that a bunch of games that have already come out are now coming to Stadia. But look, that's great. They need to expand their platform, but they still haven't made anything to bring us to it. They basically just said they're working on exclusives with a few studios, but said nothing about what they were working on, and just coming out and saying they have studios working isn't very enticing. Especially when what they have now is the equivalent of sticking your dick in an anthill. Google, you're running Stadia on a fucking massive amount of powerful hardware. Why not make something that would be impossible to run on a console? Something that requires the hardware that you have. Look, I think it's great that titles like Sekiro are coming to Stadia. Fucking good for them. But it would have been so much more in their interest to push back their announcements, gather more titles, and actually make it a platform worthy of competing with the next console generation. Well, maybe it can still compete, but they have to secure more exclusives and massively expand their library by the time the new consoles come out, and I just don't know if they can do that. Google clearly focused much more on the engineering of Stadia rather than the marketing of Stadia, and it shows in good and bad ways. Stadia works, I can't deny that, but that's not enough for a brand new platform. The reason something like the PS4 was able to sell really well even though their launch lineup wasn't very strong was because people are familiar with the PlayStation brand and trusted Sony to bring more to the table later on. Google hasn't built that trust with Stadia yet, so there isn't any guarantee that they'll put out any quality titles. And the weird thing is, they have enough money to secure exclusives. Hell, they could have probably gotten a company like From Software to do something for them if they really wanted to, but they didn't, because Google is too confident in their product. Yes, it works really well, but there needs to be more than that. The good news for Stadia is that it isn't too late. Google can still turn this around, but they have to pull their head out of their ass and actually give us something worth buying. Also, why can't I search for games on the Google gaming platform? Who the fuck is running this shit? I fucking knew it!